Well, your boy's made a couple pretty bad decisions lately, Nick.
Sounds
And
right.
it's probably time, come to confession. Father Walters, it's time,
Mhm.
you can tell me my penance, what I need to do afterwards. I've done some pretty dumb things. Let's just start with Saturday. Well, I forgot what Saturday was. And for those of you that still don't know, Saturday was Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, you were one too. Well, I
Well,
did
I
too.
didn't forget it. I just forgot Saturday was Valentine's right now.
Well, Saturday morning, I'm putting on something to watch as I start breakfast, and I hear this Happy Valentine's Day, and I go, oh shit.
Yep. That sounds
Well,
right.
I messed that up. I got my Reese's Pieces and my gift card to Whataburger. What else could a man want? I mean, that's perfect.
Hey, big spenders over there for the Valentine.
And so, what do you have to do? You just have to go, well, my bad. What do you want? Another
Yeah.
mistake.
Yep. Yep.
So she wanted Cheesecake Factory. Damn
Oh,
it.
that's easy.
Yeah. Is it? Well, our Cheesecake Factory's in the mall, like parking area, like not in
Oh,
the
okay.
mall, but the outskirt. So your boy thought he could go around some places and let me see this line. No. About 20 minutes into this line that we were sitting there, she goes, did you make a good decision? I made a decision. My decision was to go to Cheesecake Factory at Valentine's Day, right? You can see where I made another poor choice on Valentine's Day when you're
Yeah.
waiting for an hour to get there, right? Well, is that the worst of my decisions? I don't know. Maybe the worst of my decision is while I'm looking out through the glass, I see the areas of, well, I made a pretty bad mistake. I went with the low cost tint guy.
Ooh.
I did it. It was me. I can go ahead and be the guy admits it. I went against Nick's father Nick's
I mean, you guys look, and we got a lot of people listening to this. You're the same way. I know because some of you DM me. It's not a guess. There's a lot of people that had an adverse reaction, even as people that know better, to just spend the goddamn money you have to spend. I just don't understand it. I want to understand it. I want to be a guy that goes, I understand that. Prior to all of this, I said, the two best shops in the area. Why aren't you going there? And it was some, let's just be clear, bullshit excuse that should have never been said. I mean, but again, I watch people in this car world that know better. I watch people that don't know better to think that somehow the world works differently than you get what you pay for.
well, you think also you go, hey, listen, I made this decision. Let me see if I can make a better decision, right? Like, well, I should have gone and gotten the gift card or done all the other stuff beforehand. I didn't. So then I made this decision, right? Should I have got some things taken care of with tint once you get the vehicle? Or, do you take tint from the dealership? Some people will question, should I get tint put on afterwards at some other
Yes.
place, right? People are going to ask and re-ask questions that they make when they make a decision like this. I went with the decision I made because of the reason that I had, which I told you is like, listen, I'm trying to build a little team of people that I can go and depend on. And
How'd
you're
that
right.
go?
Exactly. This didn't go well. It didn't. But I made my decision, right?
You sure did.
It was like, damn it, man. Like,
So what were the negatives? Let's share to everybody. So there's people out there listening that aren't deep in the tent world. Again, everybody who listens to us should know that you get what you pay for. That's just how the world works. Marty's trying to build some group of people that can't do what they say they're going to do. Shocking. So walk me through the negatives here so people can learn from something you already knew prior to doing it, but did it anyway.
you open the door and, there's usually this gap between the tint and the edge of the glass.
And you have frameless doors, right?
Mm-hmm. I
Mm-hmm.
do.
Should be
Um,
shaved edges, but I'm
yeah,
guessing that wasn't it.
those edges weren't exactly all the same, and there was,
Quite a bit
you
of
know,
light.
you know, some knife marks. Let's just call it what it is.
Yep.
Plenty of dots in certain areas.
For those that don't
Question
know, that's
about,
contamination.
yep. What is this thing down? Oh, well, I guess that's old glue that we didn't get off.
Sounds right. This is checking all the boxes.
Yeah. Pretty much almost every window had to get redone. And they were grateful. The guy was very grateful to do it, which grateful that he was grateful to redo them. I don't know if everybody would be. I don't
Yeah,
know,
it's
right?
true.
I don't know if they would look at me and go, "You're being too picky," right? Because there's times where we've gotten things done, and you go with the cheapest, and they go, "Listen, you got what you paid for, man. Like, what else do you want me to do here?" So he wasn't that way. He was grateful enough to redo it, but the learning curve really happened for him and I when it came to that back glass,
as it does.
because it took him multiple times, and you
Yep.
start going after multiple times, as gracious as somebody is to keep doing it over. Well, there's always a reason that it didn't happen, right? Like, and we can all understand this moment. Well, okay, well, this happened. Okay, cool. Well, can you fix it? Sure. Let me do that. The last one was, let me take apart everything back there,
Yeah.
and I can promise you I'll get it put back together.
Well, when
Well,
you can't
there's
put tint on, you're not having people remove like whole back seats and deck lids. And come on.
all right. So he brought in somebody else to help with his education, and he said, "Hey, you got to double shrink it instead of single shrink it." I seem to be the miracle cure, and the back glass is fine now. But what is a double shrink? What is
Well, I
that?
mean, some people, what they'll do is they'll shrink it, they'll lift it up again. I'm guessing what you saw is they shrunk it, they then lifted it up again, laid it back down, and made sure there were no fingers. But the truth is, if you just know how to shrink something, you don't, especially your glass. I mean, we're just talking about a BMW here. We're not talking about the curved glass of a C6 or C7 Corvette, which are tough to deal with. It's a pretty straightforward glass. I'm not saying some people don't shrink it multiple times, but pretty straightforward, And again, if you're at the beginning of your learning curve, it's understandable. I mean, everybody's going to struggle with stuff, but this all stems from something we've taught on this podcast a million times, that cheap has the most expensive price. It's just period, point blank in the story. It doesn't matter if you're talking about chemicals. It doesn't matter if you're talking about a service. Uh, we all have cut a corner, and that corner really costs us. I mean, that's the story here, is that you got to witness that cutting that corner was problematic with your time, with your babysitting of it, with your constant looking at it. You got to ask yourself how much all of this really saved you. And in the end, it didn't save you anything. And
No, yeah,
probably still not to the level of quality had if you just gone to the quality shop.
yeah. It's a risk, right? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah. It's
of
big
course
risk.
you could go as a risk to go to the highest quality person around, and yeah, it is. But the risk is not near as much on what's going to go wrong or this and that, because you generally would go, they're always going to take care of, somebody of quality is going to take care of it. So quality person, this guy took care of it, but cheap price kind of showed me that, hey, I'm probably going to have a lot to deal with afterwards. A higher price on things, generally speaking, right? Generally should mean that it comes out better.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and not only that, you got to wonder what kind of tint you used, right? And if you go to a higher quality shop that's attached to higher quality brands, tint in your area, I mean, that's not going to go bad for as long as you own the car. This may be something that has to be retinted 2 summers from now. Like, you don't, that's pretty common. I mean, we get it a little bit worse out here. We see bad jobs go bad quicker because we have 300 plus days of sun. In the summer, we have really, really crazy hot sun. You put good tint on a BMW in Tulsa, that can almost be, 10, 20 years before you see any kind of problem.
Mm-hmm.
This might be 2 years.
Yeah, I guess, we'll find out,
Yeah, well, I think we're going to find out. I mean, I don't have to guess. I've been around a little while. I know exactly where this is going to end up.
But the probably the biggest scratch of the head moment for anybody listening and for you is what I allowed to, I guess, happen on the doors.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Let me
I mean,
guess. You saw some streaking?
well, there's some fingers that developed on the door suddenly. I don't understand why I didn't. There we go. I didn't, right? I'm this guy now. I'm the guy going, wait a second. My door didn't look like that when it went
When you
in.
say fingers, what do you mean?
Uh, Running fingers of
Oh, run
chemical
lines.
going
Yeah, it's
down
called
the
run lines.
door.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Fingers and 10 are different. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
So
My
I was
bad.
like, damn.
Yeah. No, this is like, it's got to be, I immediately go, this got to be their slipstream or whatever you guys call it.
Slip solution, yeah.
Solution, right? Like they use something on here. And so I asked the guy, I go, hey man, so what are you guys using? It's got to be your slip. Like, what are you guys using for that? Now, here we go. Let's go into this moment because if somebody is using, I'm asking,
Sure.
I haven't run a tent business. So, what different things do people use for slip? Where would they fall into if so and so uses X? Then they're going to be probably like these people, right? Like, what are the different slips and what
Yeah.
quality or what
I
level
mean,
of
look,
detail would that guy be?
you have things like people use Dawn. They use something called seventh gen, which is a little bit less harsh with the additives. They use Johnson and Johnson baby shampoo. They use gel. They use a variety of things, but the number one way to avoid run lines is not the slip solution that you use. It's to use door guards where you put
Oh,
down pieces of plastic or some people use like what you would call a towel method,
yeah,
uh,
microfiber. I've seen
where
that.
it's big enough it goes over the
Mhm.
whole door. But there's a million options to cut. And look, we see huge issues with Porsches, like Porsche Cayennes, different things like that, where people don't cover the door panel. It swells up the leather, and they have a completely damaged door panel. Happens all the time. Uh, it you know it takes skill to do things, and it doesn't matter how much anybody wants to think I can go and do that. There is a right and a wrong way for an installer to protect the customer they're doing business with, right? So if you were going to tint a front windshield with all of today's electronics, you would put a rope down and jam it in the front of the windshield because you don't want the water running down behind the dash and hitting something, an ECU or anything like that that could burn up from liquid, right? It's not supposed to get wet behind there. So you use a tent rope. Then you would put a big blanket or towel across the dash because you don't want the slip solution to be on the dash and the negative things that can happen there. And so there's really basic, simple things that by the way, all take time. What does time cost? Money. That much all of us should understand. And it doesn't matter how quick these steps are, all of these steps add to the time to tint a vehicle. And so the reason the higher quality shop, besides the cost of the tint and using a higher quality tint, the reason that you're paying a higher quality shop is you assume they're doing all of these things to protect you, right? So now part of the reason you saw the fingers is you're a heavy user of Impress, and now you've had a reaction between that sort of nourished, dressed look and Dawn dish soap running down your door, and you've sort of created a chemical reaction right there on your door. Simplest way to look at it. Okay. That doesn't mean that's what everything is. Sometimes it's just, the plastic or the leather on the door doesn't like getting all that moisture on it. Sometimes that's as simple as it gets, like what we see with Porsches a lot of times. Porsche doors don't love moisture. They act, I mean, especially modern ones, they act really poorly.
And you're right. Dawn was what was used. I asked him, like, what'd you use? He said, yeah, Dawn dish soap. It's like, okay, you're going to want to need to figure this out, guys, because not every customer is going to be as nice as I am. Like,
Sure.
and should I have pressed the button? I don't think so. I made the choice to go there,
Yep.
right? But they messed it up. Whose fault is it? Well, I, oh, I just don't know. It's my fault. I'm going to take the responsibility because I chose them. Well, it could be their fault. Maybe. And actually it
But it's
is.
like you said, if you deal with let's just say you went to a cheap tint shop that had been open for 20 years. They were cheap, but everybody knew it. A really, really smart, cheap owner would look at you and go, what'd you expect? We're 40%, 30%, 25%, 50% less than everyone else. You know, we didn't charge you to cover all these things up. We didn't charge you for, and I mean, people that stay at the low end of the market and actually make it work, that's how they answer people. Now, most people at the cheap part of the market don't stay in business long enough to actually ever get that confidence. But if you ever find a business that's largely, mechanic shop, whatever, and that you go, well, why didn't you use OE Lexus parts? They're like, yeah, you didn't pay for that, dog. You paid for me to call this parts supplier and get the knockoff one, and now your brakes squeak all the time. What do you want me to do? You paid for the knockoff. Like, that's what I try to get across to so many people on this podcast. If you're really cheap, you're going to have to be really stern with people that I've made the choice to be cheap. That's what you've paid for. You haven't paid for your floors to look immaculate or your windows to be cleaned to perfection. You paid the cheap price. So there are going to be some streaks and there's going to be some stuff left on the carpet, but overall your car's 50, 60% better. That's what you paid for. But nobody ever does that in the cheap part of the market, which is why they can't stay in business.
Mm-hmm. I didn't ever want them to take care of it. Same as if you get something in your food at a restaurant, or hey, it's not exactly what you ordered. Do not send that back.
Yeah, they're going to spit in your food.
Same as me on that. I was like, yeah, no worries, man. I ain't going to send this back. Just for the next guy, okay?
Yep.
You're not about to see my car again.
Yeah. No, I learned my lesson. Yeah. Well, look, for a guy that knew better going in. So this is like double learning.
I knew my risk too.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm taking a risk because right now my aftercare that I've done after picking up the vehicle, I've got a pretty low budget that I've spent on getting some stuff done here. Like I said,
let's see where you're at in a year. We'll see where you're at in a year. You can feel pretty good, whatever you want to tell yourself. Let's see where you're at after a summer.
I can definitely tell you that 3M windshield film from 20-something years ago, whenever this was put on, is far superior than whatever we have now. I'll tell you that much.
Like, it's a lot thicker.
Yeah, a lot thicker. And I didn't have to squint or anything. I know sunglasses. Yep. Now I'm like, wait, sunglasses are on? I'm still squinting.
Well, let's be fair. You didn't buy the equivalent to the modern day 3M. I don't have to do a lot of squinting in my car, just so we're clear.
So the run lines down the side, right? I mean, we only have seen that. I've only have seen it. The only reason you and I kind of knew it, I think a lot of people, maybe regular customers that just go into a tint shop, maybe don't know what, they open their door and they maybe not even see it, or they might wipe them or just think like, I knew what they were. You would have known what they were. I'd say most detailers would know what those run lines were if they've used something like APC, and they've used APC to clean a door. The bad decisions that people are making right now with APC seem to be even more and more growing.
Oh, yeah, it's wild.
We've got two illustrations that we're going to bring up, both from other detailing groups, but as we like to do is, pull posts of people of what they make, and not to go at them or not to do anything. It's more of like, let's talk about this, right? Let's talk about this one. And this guy goes, and this is it looks like an F-150. It's a white truck. I'm just going to go F-150. It could be a Chevy. I don't know. But he goes, no way. My 1 to 10 green all APC did this, right? This is work truck, so could have been covered up from all the dirt. Okay. I want to break down his words, Nick. No way. Let's start there. Let's start with the idea of going, there's just no way, right? Like, there's the number one. If something ever happens or something's going on, you and I question, like, why don't people That's got to be really where it happens. Why people ever think that there's could never, it's because they just initially think there's no way.
I think people also don't really know dilution ratios. So there's no way that if we're saying the words no way, I would guess you're probably not 10 to 1. You think you are, but you're giving it the old glug glug and moving on with your day and kind of eyeballing it like most of us do, which is why we've talked exclusively about sort of a modern issue of dilutable products. It's problematic. I get it. Maybe it wasn't as problematic 20 years ago, but I was there. You were there. I saw a lot of burnt interiors. It's not news. We just happen to have better options now, like Revive, and people want to say, well, you can't dilute it. There's a reason. F-150s in particular, Chevys, Silverados in particular, you're taking it into it is user beware at your own risk with APCs at this point. Those plastics have become problematic over the last decade. By the way, not in the last year. They've become problematic over the last decade. And if you're not paying attention to that and you do a lot of that level of car, I don't really know what the hell you've been looking at online because it's all the time. You and I don't even look that hard. And it's like, there's another door. There's another this. There's another door panel. There's another dash. We're not even looking for it. We're not even active in these groups. And I go, if I'm seeing this and we're out here as people that are supposedly people that care about our own truck or are working on people's vehicles, those two vehicles, anything Chevy, anything Ford, with those door panels are problematic no matter how much you think you've diluted down APC. It's just a factual statement because no matter how low you think you've taken the pH level, there are still ingredients that aren't reacting well with those door panels. And that's why people say no way is because they think I've diluted it down so far, I've taken the danger out. Well, if the ingredients don't agree with that surface, it's still going to mess it up. You're out of the alkaline question and into whatever general APCs you people are using, they are becoming increasingly problematic with certain, I would just say the vast majority of plastic door panels, they're becoming problematic.
So you mentioned the dilution and the glug glug, right? You know, he says, no way, my 1 to 10 APC. So ironic, which is more ironic that he calls it his APC or that he's in a group asking random strangers about his APC, right? Like he didn't make it. You know, to your point, I guarantee you, right? He probably doesn't even know what the exact amount of ounces of 1 to 10 in a 32-ounce bottle is, right? Well, 1 to 10 is not much.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we mess up 1 to 1.
Yeah.
You think we're going to get 1 to 10 right?
Exactly.
So you get that off by 2%. What does that do?
Yeah, you're talking about burn time.
So here's the other part. Ironic on that. Or he goes, well, you know, this is a work truck, so could have just been covered up from all the dirt.
It's like, by the way, was it just smothered in mud?
See, look how much is on there. like half of the door. You know how much dirt. I've cleaned oil field trucks. I've cleaned farm trucks. A lot of our listeners have. You know how much dirt has to be on a door to not see that? These aren't run lines either. These are like somebody scrubbed it in, and these are this is like a Dalmatian, it looks like.
Yep. It's a burnt, damaged door panel. And I try to tell people this. I just think it falls on deaf ears. You think diluting something down automatically makes it non-risky. But if you start to work with ingredients enough, you realize you can dilute it down all you want. If that ingredient doesn't mesh well with what it's being put on, it becomes problematic. So while people think they're just going to take their APC and they're going to make it 25-1, and it's going to fix the problem, if the ingredient is looked at or reacts poorly with what it's being put on, it's still going to react poorly. Maybe it won't show the damage as bright as that one is, but it's still going to show damage. You're still going to see parts where it didn't react well. And I can't say this enough. If you guys are working on Chevys and Fords, and nobody's told you this in the last decade, those are problematic plastics. Point blank, period, end of story. They have been that way for a decade. It's not 5 minutes of this going on. It has been problematic. And the thing you don't think about is how the plastic is being made. And that makes it where it doesn't react to certain things well. If you use Revive, you're using a gentle surfactant cleaner with tons of power. Surfactants that are high quality don't react to things negatively, even at full strength, where the ingredients in an APC, highly diluted, can damage plastics on the outside of a car, which makes it even funnier when people tell you to use APCs on plastics. Like, no, the modern plastic is not something APC is always friendly with. I don't care how much you dilute it.
It's not just the plastics, is it though? Here it's the plastic, and the idea that we have of, well, I can just do it. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate the just do it slogan. But I want to think back about something, right? Let's just go back in the day, and let's go back in the back of the day. Let's go back to Biff and cars back then. Let's go to the 80s, the 90s. Go to the 2000s. Let's go to 2026. Which era? Like, let's just think of which time frame was there more risk when cleaning a car? Right? It could be, hey, we knew less more. Hey, we had less to work with. We only had these amount of things, but you also only had certain substrates. Now, it's something we've talked about, right? Like, you can open up a car, and how many different things are in this car? The risk now of all the stuff. And so how do you alleviate that risk? The answer, I think, is what I'm not good at. Because I was going to say, and I'll let you answer the question, let everybody think about the question I asked. When we think about what error, and I'll go, I think I was never good at being the car guy who knew all the different answers to, well, this has this has that. Well, that make has this in it, that make. Listen, you got a bigger risk now. Oh, yeah. If you don't study cars.
Well, or if you're just trying, again, from the lesson at the beginning of the show, there's so many people trying to cut their way to profit. They're trying to cut a corner. They're trying to save 3 cents. And this guy's now on the hook if this is a kind of customer that puts him on the hook to replace a door panel. So all those corners you cut, number one, this guy's never going to come back to you more than likely. Mm-hmm. And number two, you're on the hook to buy a brand new door panel. There is no fix, no matter what anybody thinks. Once plastic is burnt, it's burnt, right? Like, especially on the interior of a car. It's not like, maybe you could try to dye it, but I imagine if you're using APC damaging, you're not a real dye expert. That'd be my guess. So it's not to get on people. It's to say it costs you pennies to use a product like Revive on the interior of a car. Pennies. What are you saving? Why is that a corner that we're cutting? We're cutting it because somebody told us on the internet we need to cut our chemical cost while never telling us. First of all, you're detailing one car a day, most people. 2 maximum. Okay, that's the average detailer. Not big, huge shops who we sell this stuff to. The largest shops are trying to reduce risk. The fly-by-night guys in these groups are trying to cut chemical cost when the big guy's like, yeah, I just don't want my guys burning up door panels. So it's a mindset shift. Stop trying to cut these corners that don't end in you really making any more money. You've just told yourself that. And you're taking all of this risk for no benefit. Like, it's not like as if you use a diluted APC and the result is better. Miles better than, no, Revive's result is infinitely better than an APC. So you're not even cutting the corner to get a better result. You're just cutting the corner to be cheap. And by the way, you're not being cheap by saving, hundreds and thousands of dollars. You're cutting the corner to save 53 cents. Why are all the corners? And like you said, you're going to see so much on a new interior. You're going, dude, this could damage 35% of the materials in here. What is the risk here? Why are we taking the risk?
Are there less car guys, quote unquote, car
100%.
guys that are?
No question. No question. I mean, the lack of knowledge of cars. The only reason people ever detailed when I was growing up is because they wanted to be around cars.
That's what I was going to say. I was always the unicorn, and not in a good way, right? I was the outcast because I wasn't the car guy.
Yeah.
Every single other person that cleaned cars, detailed cars, whatever you want to call it, in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah, they just want to be around cars.
They knew about cars. They had the magazines. They would take a shit and read the magazines. Like, that was what they did.
Yeah, now, I mean, today it's way reversed. I mean, there's most of these guys, if they do know about cars, they know about a specific car that they own, that they love. They don't really know about it. Matter of fact, they bash everything else. Everything else is trash. This thing I like, it's just way less now. It's a way for people to earn a living. It's being looked at through that lens. Back in the day, nobody was earning great money, so it was just like, I'm doing this to be around cars, right? Like, now people can make real money at this, or what's real money to them, whatever that means for them. And so, yeah, it's just more or less looked at like, becoming a plumber. Very few plumbers, I think, are fired up about being a plumber, but there are some. But the vast majority are just being a plumber because it offers a way to make a good living. I think that is more, it's been popularized more by the internet now as, hey, you can get started with very little. You can go out and start detailing cars. The only reason I ever detailed cars was to hang around with cars. That's the only reason when my buddy was like, hey, this guy's hiring, he wholesales cars. I was like, so he's got a lot of cars? And I went down there.
So if I would give you a vehicle, make, and model, you would know something about that interior and know what to do, versus a lot of people today, which we'll get to a post that we're about to get to, which is proving the point, they don't understand, which I didn't either, which is my point. I got into it not as a car person. I got into it because I go, yeah, I like to clean my rodeo. Okay, I can make a little money doing that.
Sure.
Right?
And by the way, it's a viable reason too.
We've all heard my story. I don't want to repeat it, but I get into it a little bit, and then suddenly somebody goes, hey, you going to clean my truck? I've got this Ford. Guess where we're going? You could say F-150, 250. You could say Excursion. But then there's going to be the model, the trim package, or whatever you guys like. Keep going to get then to King Ranch.
Aniline leather.
You would have known. Mildred would have known. Dale, some of you car people would have known, right, what that meant. I would have gone, which I did. I go, cool, no problem.
Hey, use that old school APC on that aniline leather. Boy, that's a tough day.
Well, I opened those doors, and I had to give the guy a call. I don't know what to do here. What are these?
Hold on, but that's the rarity. You made the call.
Sure, I get it, and that's different. But I just want people to understand something for a moment here, okay? And you're right that you pointed out a point, but I didn't know. You knew. Car people back then that got into detailing, they knew the cars. So when somebody opens up a door and you see this post and he goes, I clean this Alcantara with blank, and after a few days, it looks like this. How do I fix it? And you
Oh,
look at this and you go, well, okay, so he opened up the door and he looked at these seats. He, you would have thought he could definitely see that there was a difference in the material,
yep.
but a car guy would have known.
Don't spray it.
Okay,
Don't drench it in APC.
well, they would have first. I think they first would have known that Alcantara was in this model. I
Sure.
think a car guy would have.
Or let's say it differently. At least when they opened the door, they'd have been able to say, there's Alcantara right here. I need to treat this differently. I don't know if they needed to know everything. There's a difference between knowing things and opening the door and knowing what you're looking at and knowing.
Absolutely, that was me. But the car guy,
Yeah.
the
you would have
number
known.
one car is my point. Like, so back then you would have opened it up. You would have gotten a call. King Ranch, cool. It has this interior leather. Has this. Oh, I got this call. Mazda. Okay, I've got this. I've got
Sure.
this.
You would have had an idea.
You'd have had an idea, but for whatever reason, people that are into the quote unquote business of detailing cars today, we get, and for whatever reason, we talk about manufacturers and whatever, we're piling all this in to go, hey, the average detailer doesn't understand that if they get a call for whatever make and model this
like
is, to know that it would have had Alcantara already in it.
Yeah. And also, like, for a lot of consumers trying to work on their own stuff, they don't know, right? We're in a time, and for those that never watch on YouTube, Marty actually showed the pictures for YouTube. One of the things you have to realize is this guy made a fatal flaw. And by the way, it can be made on any surface, which is he drenched the Alcantara in APC. He then doesn't extract all of the APC out of the Alcantara, which is almost impossible, by the way. And what happens? All of these white rings start to show up on the Alcantara. And I mean, really show up to the point of, like, it's not going to be hidden even from the most novice owner. They're going to go, my Alcantara is supposed to be black or gray, and there's all of this, what looks like sweat stains, right? Just think of a sweat, and it's all over the Alcantara. And the minute you have to ask a group for help on this type of subject means you didn't understand any of it. Now, that could be just carpet that you don't understand, is that when you spray an APC down or you spray something like that, it's got to come out. You got to get it out. You can't leave it in the surface. Everybody think of the crunchy carpets that we've all dealt with. You're going to have to get it out. So everything that goes in, if it's improperly formulated, which is why a product like Enzyme is so great to use, and just spray it down very, very evenly. You don't have to worry about all of this heavy extraction if you use it properly. That's why we still see all of these carpet systems that are very, very reliant on heavy extraction being way outdated. This is an outdated way of looking at this car. I'm going to spray a cleaner. I'm going to probably not even extract it halfway to where it needed to be, but also not understanding the cleaner that you have. If it doesn't come out, it's going to come out on its own. It's going to come out. It's going to get it to the top of that surface. It's just going to be a day or two later. And in the summer, it could be hours later where you have a major, the only luck of this was it wasn't in the summertime, right? That was the luck.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm thinking like not car guy and not understanding the different materials is because, right, you've got process of cleaning that we all is a big thing. And you could see that leather, and a lot of times I'm okay with somebody scrubbing, but you can't scrub Alcantara. And so I'm just trying, I guess I'm trying to give him an excuse of going, maybe he just didn't understand the process.
You can scrub Alcantara. What you can't do is oversaturate it, then scrub it, have all that stuff beat down into Alcantara.
And the high alkalinity. And not all three combined.
You can't have all of that.
Yeah.
Right? You can still take a brush to Alcantara. Now, you need to be careful. You don't want to be reckless. But when you deal with Alcantara, the number one thing is do not oversaturate it. Like, that is and that's exactly all of those stains are because that thing was sopping wet. You don't get all of that staining because it was just lightly used. It was, I'm going to show you how clean I can get this. Let me drench it, probably scrub it, then not extract it all out of there. And then as it dries, that's going to do its own extraction. Basically, is the way you can look at it. It's just going to wick to the top of the surface, and then it's just going to look white because of the alkalinity. And
So,
this is not to pick on people, right? Like, I want people to understand, if you used Revive and made the mistake he made, you don't have the reaction that came out of the surface of that. Now, you may have seen something, you wouldn't have seen that. That is pure alkalinity coming out of the surface. And you shouldn't over drench it with anything. It's not needed. It's not that type of surface. But when you do it with the wrong product, you get this result. Now, for anybody who was watching on YouTube and saw how bad it was, this is extraction after extraction after rinse after extraction after rinse. And it's just going to get more and more frothy. And there's a likelihood you might visit this person 1, 2, 3 times to get all this stuff out of there because it's been left in there for days and already started to wick. Like, I hope you get it on the first try, but if it's bad enough, that could be a couple visits.
so you keep saying extract. So we can. I just want to, like, since I haven't worked with Alcantara. I've been open about that. I didn't know you could go and extract down Alcantara. I didn't know that. I mean, I understand Alcantara it's like a polyurethane
Yeah, well,
something.
here's the
It's
thing. You
like
don't really want to
polyester
do
of some.
that. I'm saying the way to fix this problem, he doesn't have a choice. You don't really want to soak it with water. At this point in time, that's his only choice. Right? Like, I'm not saying that's what you want to do. I'm saying in this instance, with that much cleaner left behind, Marty, you know how it goes on carpets. You've seen a drenched carpet with APC. There's only one way to fix it, is to get it out of there. How do you get it out of there? Rinse it with usually as hot a water as you can get out of a machine and extract the hell out of it. Yeah, this Alcantara has a chance of never being the same. It does have that chance.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, right? Like, because you just think of polyester.
Yeah,
Like,
it's look.
you can you scrub on it enough. I don't know if anybody's had some old polyester suits from back in the day.
Yeah, you're real old.
Nick
Yeah.
sent me some of his, and
Sent you some green ones that I like. Look like a pool table.
but yeah, I mean, polyester is just and it's an interesting material, right? I mean, it seemed to be something that was indestructible, and there is stuff that's still around that's polyester for 50 plus years. Alcantara is not the one.
Well, and even some older vehicles, you have true suede. You know, it was actually real suede, and that's why it was so expensive. I mean, we've gotten into the artificial Alcantara now that's sort of lab made, if you want a very basic term. But if this car is old enough, that could be real suede. Now you're talking about a whole different ball game.
Yeah. All right, we're going to end the episode on this segment. This segment comes from an email.
Lots of them, by the way. We get a lot of these emails.
And they're great. We really do appreciate
Agreed.
it. I called the guy and said, hey, man, we do want to talk about this. All right with you if we talk about it. And so let's just get into it. I'll read the email and leave out, some stuff just for the
protection of
the
some
who
people.
and the whys and the days. All right, so here's the email. He says the blank and blank guy says I should be focusing on running a detailing business, not actually detailing cars anymore. Same shit blank so-and-so used to push. I love doing what I do, and I am scaled to operate this way. WTF is wrong with that? Just because some douche that allegedly charges $10K to come and tell me I suck in business says so-and-so. Come on, dude. All right. I just wanted to read it all so that there was no questions about what was said. And then I want to go back over some of the stuff that was said, just like we did in some of the other posts that we were mentioning. All right. I I'm not, as you said, I continue to venture out of what is considered the detailing industry. I'm going to go, I might not have ever been all the way in. I wasn't the guy that did the circles with his brush on the door and showed the, that was a moment that was really interesting, right? Like
Sure.
about 6, 8 years ago, or something like you had to do it that way if you were a detailer, right? I I don't put the same tire shine on my low profile tires that other people who are detailed might say that I have to do.
Sure.
There's a good
Correctly.
chance I might have also even Mr. Miyagi'd sometimes
Sure.
back in the day. Why not? Circles? What's wrong with some circles?
Yep.
I don't know. You tell me, Nick, what's wrong with it? It you love carpet stripes. I love carpet stripes. Not everybody loves carpet stripes. But what is, right? Is that where we're focused at, right? Like we're talking about not actually detailing cars anymore. What is detailing? Was detailing the carpet stripes, the circles of the brush? Was it the Mr. Miyagi? Like that to me, when I looked at this and I first started reading it, that because that's me, right? Like that's why I hung my hat on that part. I go, I, I really still wonder what people consider detailing.
Well, I think there's becoming an adverse reaction to a lot of people selling a lot of courses around detailing now. And for those of you that think detailing is this place where these things happen in detailing, they don't happen anywhere else. You and I joked, you guys don't know that real estate seminars have been a thing for like 50 years. And they used to just put flyers on people's car and have you come to the, Best Western ballroom and, be told how to make money in real estate. Yet the two guys never made money in real estate who are leading the class. I think that's where some of this starts because places like detailing are kind of literally 40 years behind something like real estate where people have been selling courses for generations now. You and I talked about multi-level marketing, has been around selling people hopes and dreams and telling you how you should make money. I don't really get caught up in this stuff. I see the things you guys see. And I would ask this question pretty plainly. If somebody's telling you they have a 7-figure or 8-figure business, which we see is very common now, you got to realize what that means is somebody has a business that's bringing in $25,000 to hundreds of thousands of dollars per week in revenue. Per week. Take what $1 million business is, a 7-figure, an 8-figure. In what universe is that person going to take time away from their business that's supposedly bringing in at minimum $25,000 a week in revenue? In some cases, people are saying they're bringing in $100,000+ a week to do anything like business consulting for 10 grand, for 5 grand, for 4 grand, for 7 grand. Just do the math. They're already bringing in minimum 25K a week in revenue. That is a huge step back. And let me tell you my own personal story. Marty's been on these emails. Marty's been approached with these emails of people that want to come shadow me for a week, and they throw a number out. And the number's 5 figures. And I go, bud, no. Number one, I don't really think it's going to be as helpful as you think. That's the first thing I've always said. Secondly, I can't take time away from my business that's doing XYZ in revenue to spend time to help you at that price. I don't, and we've said this on this podcast long before this discussion. Sometimes we all need to take a step back and do the math. And I just did the math for you. Somebody that's supposedly bringing in $25 to $100 to $200,000 a week in revenue is going to go give a speech to people at a conference. That's not what people making that revenue do on a daily basis. Just not what they do. They're also not going to try to sell you a course for a couple $1,000, for $5,000. It's not worth their time. And I think because people who have never been to that level, they never reverse engineer the math on it and go, this doesn't add up. And that's where you start with this. It's not to get mad about. It's not to get all pissed off about, because that's just not something I think anybody should be worried about. Just reverse engineer the math. It doesn't add up. So once it doesn't add up, I've moved on. This doesn't add up. I mean, this is what happens in real estate all the time. And other things too. It's not just detailing or real estate or whatever. I think some of us need to just realize when you pay attention and you understand the numbers, once something doesn't add up, you just move on with your life. That's kind of where I fall out on it.
He uses a word that I want everybody to think about for a second. He says, he's talking about, this guy says I should be focusing on, quote unquote, running a detailing business, not actually detailing cars. And here's the word, anymore. That gives a time frame, as in previous, there was a time that we were, right? Like, well, anymore, well, previously I should have been focused on running, right?
Can I say something? You and I have learned a hard lesson over the last, you and I have been doing episodes together for 7 years. I mean, we're into our 7th year since 2019. And telling a bunch of business owners what they should or shouldn't be doing is not that valuable, because everybody has a way that they see their business. Some people want to convince themselves that I want to work alone in my garage or my shop, and that's all that I want, and that's all that I've ever wanted, while they've also paid to go to courses that were about building a business. So maybe that's not exactly true. I'm sure at some point we all start a business to have a bigger business down the line. And so when you assume that, you get people that are really angry, right? They're like, well, you don't know me. I like working by myself, and all good. I think what you and I have learned over the last 7 years is I just tell you how I see things. I hope you guys gain something from it, but I'm not here to tell you how to run your business, because I learned over the last 7 years, you're going to do whatever you want anyway. Doesn't really matter what anybody says. And I think there's another part of this that people need to realize. People are making rage bait social media because it amps up views the madder everybody gets. And they've made a personal decision to do that. And by the way, this ain't just PPF or detailing, this is just a business plan that some people have. And if you're getting mad, that means you're watching multiple things of their content, which means they're benefiting, which means it's working, which means they're correct, which means you're part of the bad cycle. So if you're not in on a game, which is something we've talked about on this podcast endlessly, when you understand the game, you aren't the sucker at the poker table. And there's a lot of people that are getting caught up in these things because they don't realize this guy, this gal is trying to rage bait you and get you to get more and more mad, because they're still going to be able to pick off people who employ their services. But you're going to push their content by constantly watching the content because you just want to get mad about something.
You can kind of see that anger in the way he writes some stuff, because right after, right, he says, anymore, ... same shit, so and so. Interesting words to, okay, so I'm not supposed to be, okay, this is the same shit so and so said. All right, this guy's now raging off a rage bait, yes, like you talked about, right? There seems to be this cycle that does happen. We see it. Let's just say that. Like, sure, we see it, and we see it over and over. When I had the phone conversation with this guy and I told him we'd talk about it on the podcast, I joked with him. I go, listen, man, there's people that they had asked me if I'd seen so-and-so, and I just had to say, no, actually I had to unfollow that guy.
Yeah.
Because something, whatever that guy did cause, I took it personal. Oh, right. So this guy's writing this email to us, and he's got some personal vendetta. Something personal has happened.
Sure.
There was things that had happened, which I had explained to him, like, man, this guy said on my stage saying, fake it till you make it. Now he's like Mr. Business. And you go, man, I took that personal. So I had to unfollow. I had to get that out of my visual view when I pulled up Facebook, because whether I say I don't want to see it, whether I tell Mark I don't want to do something, Zuck's fucking pretty good at it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Zuck puts it right back into me.
Yeah, and
what am I going to do?
He knows exactly what you're looking at. It's part of it. And look, I kind of understand a lot of you, and I'd say most of you, being pretty angered by things you see on the internet that are supposedly by a professional that is not a professional. Right? I understand getting worked up on that. I can't say that any of us are immune to that, right? But I got a bunch of messages last week about a PPF video. And I mean a bunch, like hundreds. And I go, yeah, it's pretty tough to tell people how to remove PPF when you're removing it like a sticker, and that's not the way you remove PPF. Something doesn't smell right. I wouldn't tell people I knew how to remove PPF if I didn't know the right way to pull the PPF to remove it. I mean, it seems like a pretty simple thing. You don't pull it like a sticker, you pull it towards you. Seems very basic to me. That is like entry-level guy working in the detail bay at the shop, and the shop owner goes, don't pull it like a sticker, pull it towards you. People are getting more and more angry. I'm getting more and more texts. People are like, this guy's a fraud. This is a fraud. I said, maybe. Or it's clickbait and it worked on you. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just didn't know what he was doing. I don't know. But I know one thing. I'm not going to get rage baited, and I'm not going to get furious. I'm going to, and I can pass this on to people after 7 years of being in this sphere as a participant, not as just a viewer. It's okay just to laugh things off. It's okay to have a laugh, maybe text it to somebody or 3 people, have a laugh with them, move on with your life. There are always going to be people doing things you and I or anybody doesn't agree with. That's just part of life. I think we're now getting caught up in something that's been happening in other industries for much longer than it's been happening in ours. And we're just freshly getting a taste of what's been going on for 20, 30, 40 plus. I mean, when you and I started detailing a car, to think people would tell you that they knew the best way to run a detailing business, that wouldn't even have entered into your mind as something somebody would be doing. We are growing as a business, and these growing pains are now happening in the social media era. They're not just happening in a vacuum. They're happening all across the internet. And I understand why people get worked up, but I promise you, it's only damaging you because you're the one getting worked up about it, and nobody knows that you're worked up about it.
So, what is the fuck it gene? Did you inherit it from DNA, or did you learn it from the School of Hard Knocks?
Oh, yeah. You learn it from it. If you spend enough money in life.
What is the fuck it gene?
Yeah. So here's what it is. I spent this money, or I spent this time, whatever it is. And things didn't work out like they were supposed to. Someone lied, or I perceived they lied, or this didn't happen, or that didn't happen, or this person wasn't a good person, or this guy put tint on my back window 15 times. It didn't work out. And you go, I made a mistake, and you move on with your life. Like, shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have got swindled by this person. Shouldn't have got swindled by that person. Money's gone. Wish it wouldn't have happened. I'll learn for the next time. And I think we've lost a bit of that, lost a bit of what you said at the beginning of the podcast, where you're like, I made a bad call. Shouldn't have done this, knew better. This is now on me. It is what it is. That's sort of the F it gene. And if you think you're going to go through life and not get burned by some people, I got news for you. That's never going to happen. Nobody has a perfect track record of not buying into somebody or something that just didn't work out. But I think a lot of people, there's a blue collar thing here that when people feel like somebody's telling them to stop doing the plumbing and building a plumbing business, people get very angry. And I don't think that advice should make you angry. I think you should just move on from it. Because if by the way, I wouldn't listen to this person, whoever this is, or a lot of people that are trying to sell me of how to run a business. It doesn't matter what they're trying to tell me, what business or what avenue. We share a lot of free information on Pints and Polishing. If you can't run a detailing business by just listening to our free content, I got news for you. The detailing business probably isn't for you. It's that simple. If you don't know how to conduct yourself and you can't figure it out and you can't go through some growing pains, like maybe it's just not for you. It's all good. There's a lot of people it's not for, and there's some people that it works out for. But make no mistake, the large majority of people it doesn't work out for. The lower percentage are the people that make it. That's in every business. Like, and again, to this guy's point, hey man, if you want to run your business the way you run it, this guy should have no effect on you. Who cares what he says? You're running it the way you want, supposedly.
All right, final part of this email I want to talk about is I love what I do and I'm scaled to operate this way. I gotta ask the question. Just I want you to tell me what is the definition in business of scale. Don't go further than that. Just
Sure.
What is scale?
Yeah, scaling up is what it is. It means you're scaling beyond yourself. You're hiring people. You're scaling your business to a bigger number. So if you're doing 100,000 today and you want to do 500,000, that is part of your scale. From 500,000 to a million to 2 million, that is scale. I think what was written here should be said is I'm operating my business the way I want. I'm not scaled to do something. I am just operating my business the way I want, which, by the way, is everybody's right. Run your business how you want.
Thank you. That's why I wanted to, but what is the definition? And then could there be a misconception, that everybody thinks they need to scale?
Sure.
Because I don't think everybody does. I don't think this guy does. I think he's proving the point that maybe there's a misconception of the word scale.
Yes. If you're making the choice not to scale, you say, hey, look, I like working by myself. I love what I'm doing. I'm happy with what I'm doing. Then you're choosing not to scale any further. You say, this is exactly the level I want to be at, and this fits my life, and I'm making enough money, and I'm happy with the life that I can lead doing this. And that's what we've learned over the last 7 years. Because I'll tell everybody a little behind the scenes that you and I brought up many times. As much as everybody tells me they're happy with their business, 100 out of 100 calls, texts, messages I get are, I'm unhappy with my business. How do I make more money? How do I hire people? How do I start to scale my business? So one of the reasons many people, ourselves included, have talked about hiring and growing is because literally 100 out of 100 people that reach out to us are talking about, my body is beat up. I'm tired of doing the work. I got to figure out how to hire people. So you and I can say with 100% certainty something this person doesn't see, which is 100 out of 100 people that reach out to us are not talking about themselves being happy. They're talking about, how do I grow? How do I scale? How do I get to 500,000 in sales? How do I get to like, that's the other part of it is, while people may say stuff to themselves or privately to people that I'm happy, guys like us get 100 out of 100 people that say something the opposite. And that's a factual reality you and I have gone through the last 7 years.
There's definitely a misconception in the industry, quote unquote, right, of scale. There has to be. Like, when do you think it first came in? Did it come in with this bro entrepreneurism part? Like,
no question. No, I mean, that's entrepreneur bro was the ground zero in our business of people trying to capitalize on teaching you something they didn't know how to do. I can prove this time and again. You could bring up a name You could tell me their backstory, and I could tell you it's almost always 100% false.
I
Just a
I want
reality.
each of us to do that thing where we go, should I? Right? Like scale is such a word. Scale is like it's like the holy grail, like in the Monty
Yeah.
Python movie, right?
We act like we're tech companies. I mean, that's what's so weird about how it's talked about.
Right, like there's I mean, this email of all into everything, like that word was used.
Yep.
Like in his psyche, he's defending scale. I just keep going. Why? How? What? Why? How? What? When? And why? This word scale. Like and then so if we've got to go and we're a listener and we're going future and we're somebody that wants to think of growth and we want to think of the like we come to these things and we see this word scale. Is scale for me?
Oh yeah.
Like it's I wonder if some of us, and I saw this commercial and I have to bring it up because it's a Bush Light commercial. And I love these where they're walking through the woods and then they come up on this snake and it's a red and yellow snake. And they're questioning, well, was it red and yellow kill a fella or was it yellow and red? Like, what is it? And they just go, hey, what if you just stop, rethink, and walk the other way?
Sure.
That always saves your life, right? Like, you just have these moments where you go, should I even be thinking of this word and having this debate of should I scale or should I not scale? Or should I just put everything away and just focus on and then fill in the blank? What is it that we push away? What is it that we're not really supposed to care about? I just enjoy this great can that shows me that the Rockies are cold and I'm going to get a headache tomorrow, but fuck it, I don't care.
Sure. Yeah, no, I want to say I understand. We can't say that enough. I mean, we know the bombarding of information and people talking, and we're two of them. Let's just be fair. Anybody creating content is putting out, but it's kind of why we've always tried to be the level-headed guys because we think that's a better long-term play than we see from other people. I don't think this rage bait's going to get anybody where they think it's going to get them because sooner or later people are going to revolt against you. You're not going to deliver. You're not going to, I mean, I know for a fact you're not going to deliver. You know it. You and I know people in this industry that have been training for a very long time. They're not delivering. What happens? People start to turn. Right? It's not a long-term business play. If you and I hadn't built businesses before, we would be handling ourselves like a lot of people out there. So it becomes a red flag. If and again, everybody's allowed to do it. This is what we have to get over. It's we did a hyperCLEAN hangout on the YouTube channel where I'm like, we got to get over getting mad about stuff and just be people that put out good information. That is going to rise to the top long term. That doesn't mean it's going to fix things now. It's not. But you're never going to stop people creating content. That's not going to happen. But you got to get away from it. And you got to people are getting so triggered by this stuff. And again, I understand that because you know it's wrong. You know that it doesn't add up. But if you knew it didn't add up, why are you watching it? Just to wake up and get mad about something? And I think that's what people I think people are addicted to that. Look, I will say this. You look at the political arena, you look at life in general. I think some people's enjoyment on the internet is to wake up and get pissed off about something. That is not unique to 20-year-olds, 60-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 80-year-olds. As a population, people get up and they just want to get pissed off about something. I think there's so much to laugh about on the internet. I don't know why you would want to experience the internet like that. Like, there is so much funny shit out. It's like, you got to make a call. And I got news for you. Entrepreneur Bro isn't part of my algorithm. Unless it's something that somebody is making fun of that the algorithm knows that I'll laugh at and stay engaged with. And I don't care who it is, by the way. Name the biggest ones out there. And maybe I'm unique. A lot of the biggest ones live in places like Las Vegas, Miami, New York, Los Angeles. You know what everybody in those cities knows? Those guys are full of shit. And maybe that's just a unique perspective. Nobody loses sleep over it. Everybody cracks a joke, and everybody knows not to pay attention to those people. I think there's part of this in the detailing space, the PPF space, the tint space. A lot of us just need to start ignoring these people. And I promise you it will go away. Because if people stop paying attention, it's going to go away.
Stop ignoring, but there's also an offense to that defense. The offense is the PLPs in the hyperCLEAN specialist group. It is, right? Like defense is one, but then to defend the anger and defend all that, definitely that's the next step, is to continually to put positive things out so that you laugh and have a joke about.
Yep.
And taking pictures of the fun cars that you see out on your, when you stopped at the stoplight, or when you're walking up to the grocery store and you see some crazy thing, right?
Sure.
Like, and the things that people put on, have a joke about that. That's the fun stuff, to have a joke. You can actually push back on the negativity by having a laugh at some things. So, hey, right now, everybody, go look at the cars that are around them. Go look at some things and come to the hyperCLEAN specialist group. Post a funny photo. Have a good laugh, right? That's a good place to go do it.
Yep, agreed.
All right, we'll see everybody there.
See you guys next week.